Hello! I just all of a sudden really felt the urge to film my TBR for June, so that's what I'm doing. My light is really bright and I have very sensitive eyes, so sorry if I'm squinting at you a little bit, but I just really fancied doing my TBR now, and it's dark outside, so I needed electric lights for this one. I am participating in the Olympics Readathon in June, which is a readathon being run by a multitude of hosts over in the Shelf Space Discord, and I will go ahead and link probably just the Discord actually down in my description bar, because I don't even know how many hosts there are. I think there are 16 hosts and I don't even know who they all are, so anyway, and just like any other readathon, it comes with a bunch of prompts. This one has 16 prompts. I don't think I'll read 16 books in June, but I want to give myself the capability to mood read a little bit more in June, because I feel like I've put so much pressure on myself in May with my TBR that I really kind of fancy doing a little bit more mood reading in June. So I'm going to pick 16 books, but I don't plan to read all 16 books, famous last words. So I have a few books that I am committed to reading in the month of June, so I'm going to run through those first and the prompts that those apply to. So part of the Cosmere Unbounded readathon for May actually was to read The Hero of Ages, and even though we've still got a little over a week left in May, I'm not going to get to this. I've got some other books through my library that I have to read first, so this will be the first thing that I pick up in June most likely, or at least I'll finish it in June. So I'm going to be reading The Hero of Ages for the next prompt, which is to read the last book in a series, and this is the last book in Mistborn Era 1. I also have a few other books that I am committed to reading in the month of June. One of those is Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft, and this one I am going to count for the Hermes prompt, which is to read a book based around travel or a vacation or a quest, which this book is fairly perfect for that. This one is about Senlin, who goes to the Tower of Babel with his newlywed wife on their honeymoon, and so it's a vacation, and he loses her within the tower, and he has to travel throughout the tower to try to find her. And I've heard so much hype about this book. I'm really excited to read it, and it's a reasonably short fantasy as well, which is, as we know, somewhat unusual. And my battery is flashing, which is not unusual in these parts. Okay, I'm back with a fresh battery. The next one I'm planning to read in June is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This one is going to count towards the prompt of Hestia found family trope, and I'm reliably informed that the found family trope is a thing in here. This follows Fitz throughout his childhood years as he learns to become an apprentice, because even though he's an heir to the throne, he isn't accepted as such because he's the bastard son of the king. So we're reading that one. Next we have The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This one I am using for the Poseidon prompt. Read a book with water, oceans, lakes, rivers, that kind of thing in it. Again, reliably informed that that is part of this book, so I can use it for that prompt. And this one follows Rin, who is in a war of some kind. That's really all I know about it, other than the fact that it's a very, very dark book, but that's okay because it doesn't really bother me that much. And then finally, for my pre-planned books, we have From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which I am using as the EOS prompt, which is to read the first book in a series, which this very clearly is. This one's a bit of a chunker, but it's a fantasy romance. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It follows Poppy, who is a maiden, which means that she's not supposed to, you know, engage in romantic things, and, you know, she does. So, I mean, not until the end of the book from what I've heard, but there's kind of like a slow burn romance. That's what I'm looking for. So those are the ones that I am, you know, definitely reading out of this 16 that I ultimately choose for this. But so those 5 I will definitely read, and then the other 11 I may read if I have time. So I'm just going to go now across the board. Sorry if I keep looking down here, my phone is here with all the prompts on. So the first one is Zeus. Read a book that features a kingdom or patriarchy, which should be fairly easy, should it not? You know what is a book that I really need to get off my TBR, that has been on my TBR for ages and would finish a series, and that I've nearly included so many times, is Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard, and this is definitely a kingdom or a patriarchy. So I think I'm gonna tentatively put this one on there, just because I really need to read that book. I need to read that book. Poseidon is done. Hades. Read a book with the undead or a ghost theme, which, if you don't know, is a theme that I do very much enjoy. But once again, do I actually know if any of my books have that theme? Possibly not. Neverworld Wake. I feel like arguably, I didn't tell you what Warstorm is about. Warstorm is the last in the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, which follows Mare Barrow, who, in a very typical tropey fashion, is from the lower classes and discovers that she has magic that she shouldn't have and gets embroiled in lots of politics and things. So there's that one. And then Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessel. The characters lose one of their best friends, like they die, and then they get stuck in this kind of time loop situation. So they're kind of undead-ish, and they have to decide which one of them will stay permanently dead so that the rest can escape back into life, I think. So I think that one's okay. I'm not really sure. If you know, and you know that I'm completely wrong, let me know so I can change it. But yeah, Hestia is done. Hephaestus. Read a book with fire on the cover or in the title. Do I have a book with fire in the title, first of all? Oh, that's a shame. Ember Queen. It's close to fire, but not quite fire. Does that have fire on the cover, though? It does. Yeah, it does. It does. Okay, good. Fine. So we're going with Ember Queen by Laura Sebastian for this one. Another one that has gone onto and come off of my TBR so many times. Maybe it will again this month. Who knows? But this one is the last book in the Ash Princess trilogy by Laura Sebastian, which follows Theodosia, who witnesses the murder of her mother when she is 6 years old, and from that day forward she is kept as a prisoner basically in her land, which has been overthrown, and the person who murdered her mother is now the king of her land and using her as a way to control her people, and she wants to take her land back. So that's that one. Then Dionysus. Read a book with red or white on the cover. Would be good to try and pick something a little on the short side at this point, considering how most of these books are quite long. I mean, this one is cream and red, so I think I'm going to count it. Yeah, Yeah, that's fine. So this is The Peculiars by Kieran Larwood. It is a middle grade and quite short. I think it's probably, yeah, it's like 240 pages, so a little bit more on the reasonable side. This one is about a band of misfits trapped in a nightly Victorian sideshow, and they have to go on an adventure. Hermes is already done. Artemis, read a book with moon or night in the title or on the cover. Oh, look. Okay, look. There are moons. There are moons on this cover, right? I'm not imagining that. Those are moons. Yes, I'm so excited to read this. One of my most anticipated of the year. It is science fiction, fantasy fusion, queer. I am excited. And it's about a scholar. I love that. He's chasing forbidden stories. Love that. He stumbles across a warrior wielding magic that shouldn't exist. Yes. I've mentioned before, I don't like to refresh my memory too much before going into books, but so that's why I'm not rereading the whole synopsis, but yes, I was really hoping I would be able to get that one in on this TBR, so that one is going in for Artemis. Then for Apollo, it is read a book in an alternative format, so a non-traditional format, sorry. So novella, graphic novel, verse, mixed media, that kind of thing. Cosmere Unbounded Cruise book for June is The 11th Metal, which is a novella in Arcanum Unbounded, so I may well read that for this, but also I am on hold at the library for Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, which is a book in verse. So if that comes in, that is probably what I will read for this prompt, but I just don't know if it's going to come in time. It should come in June, in which case that is definitely what I will read. Whether or not it does, I am in the hands of the library gods. Which is hilarious, given that, never mind. Okay, next, Aries, read a military-centred fantasy or science fiction book. Military-centred fantasy or science fiction book shouldn't really be too difficult in theory. Well, once again, do I actually know what any of my books are actually about? Questionable at best. I know that there is one book that is like shouting at me to be picked for this prompt, but also it's a chonker and I don't think I'll get to it. But oops, I feel like I should put it on my TBR for this month anyway and then just see if I manage to get to it. And that is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, which is, I fully appreciate that this is not a sensible option to add to this already thick stack, but the point of this TBR is not to read all of these books, but to mood read within these books. I'm reminding myself, not you. Okay, so that is going to be Aries. Then for Aphrodite, read a book with a beautiful cover. I mean, so many. I also feel like I should probably move and look at my hardbacks, so shall we do that? I feel like we should do that. Come on. So as usual, there's nowhere for me to really stand over here, but we have tons of options for Aphrodite. So I recently received In the Ravenous Dark. Beautiful. There is also, oh yes, The Prison Healer. Very pretty. What else? What else? So many. We've got A Clock of Stars. Beautiful. Winter's Orbit. Stun. The Unadoptables. Very pretty. And look at the naked. So I feel like I'm not even going to pick a book for this right now. I'm going to truly, if I get to this prompt, I'm just gonna mood read whatever on my shelves I feel like, because I don't own very many books that I don't think are beautiful. So basically, if I find a moment in the month where I'm in the mood for something, as long as it's a pretty book, I'll read it for the Aphrodite prompt. So I think that's what we're gonna stick with for that for now, because I can't decide, basically. Then we have Hera, read a book that features a queendom or matriarchy. Again, I don't know. This is really hard because I don't know if books have matriarchies in them. And it's not as easy to find books with matriarchies in them. You know? Sad but true. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I could read a sequel. I could read The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst, which is a queendom. Yes, I think we'll go with that one because I know that it fits, basically. The next one is Demeter, read a book with food on the cover. This one, Hungry Hearts, which is edited by Elsie Chapman and Caroline Tung Richmond, and it is an anthology of 13 tales of food and love. And as you can see, it has, I don't know if that's ramen or pho, one of the two. Either way, it's food, and reading this book is going to make me hungry, most likely, so snacks might be required. Oh, cute. So yeah, that one was an easy one, mostly because I don't think I have any other books with food on the cover. And then the last one I have to pick a book for is Athena, read a book with political intrigue, which most fantasy has political intrigue, right? Like, most fantasy. In fact, let us pick a sci-fi, actually. And I'm pretty sure my audiobook hold for this is going to come through in June. And this one, have I told you? I don't think I told you what. The Reluctant Queen is the second book in the Queens of Renthia series, which is set in a forest, and there are sprites. That's not really the right word, is it? Wood nymphs? Spirits. There are spirits of the forest that don't want people to be living in the forest, and so they're quite malevolent. And there's a number of locations, including a magic school, in book one. I mentioned this one's an anthology. This one is a sci-fi, space opera, queer romance thing, arranged marriage, all that good stuff. I've heard great things, so there we go. That is the last one. So back over to the other side of the room so I can run you through it all again, reminding myself I'm not going to be reading all of these. These are all of the books that I can choose from. There's only 5 that I have to read. Okie dokie, so we're going to run through these. So first up we had Zeus, for which I've picked Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. Then for Poseidon, we've picked The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. For Hades, tentatively Neverworld Wake, but let me know if I'm wrong about this featuring ghosts or the undead. Hestia is Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. For Hephaestus, we've got Ember Queen by Laura Sebastian. For Dionysus, we have The Peculiars by Kieran Larwood. For Hermes, we have Senlin Ascends. Artemis is going to be Son of the Storm by Suyi Davies. Is that a Y? Yes. Suyi Davies Okunboa. For Apollo, hopefully I will be reading A Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds. For Aries, we have Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. Aphrodite, we are keeping wide open and reading whatever strikes my fancy. If something comes up, I will read it. For Hera, I will be reading the Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst. For Demeter, I will be reading Hungry Hearts, which is an anthology edited by Elsie Chapman and Caroline Tung Richmond. For Athena, I'll be reading Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. For Eos, it is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And finally, for Nyx, it is The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. Hello, future Sophia here. I have found out which team I am on for the Olympics Readathon. So I'm on Team Dionysus. So if you are also in Team Dionysus, hello, clearly we're going to win, and say hi to me in the Discord chat. But as a result of that, and some other things, which I'll get into in a minute, I am actually making some slight changes to my TBR already. And since I haven't posted my TBR yet, I figured I should probably just update this video with those changes. So here I am with that. Firstly, I had put The Hero of Ages on my TBR for May because I didn't think I was going to finish it in April, but I am actually currently reading it. I don't have that much left, so I will finish it in April. So that one I had in as Nyx. I'm taking it off Nyx for Finish a Series and replacing it with something that was already on my TBR but just in a different spot, which is Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. So this is still a final book in a series. I had this in as Zeus, which is a book with a kingdom or a patriarchy. So I'm moving this from Zeus to Nyx. And so because I've moved this from Zeus to Nyx, I need a new book in the Zeus slot. So I am inserting A Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. This one, it has an emperor in it, so it fits there, and this is the continuation of a series, which is something I really need to get better at doing. I read book 2 in April, so I'm adding book 3 into, no, I read book 2 in May, so I'm adding book 3 into the Zeus prompt for June. And then I also wanted to change my selection for Dionysus, which was The Peculiars by Kieran Larwood, which the prompt for it is to read a book that has either a red or white cover. This one is red and white, however, it's very short. And if you complete the prompt for the team that you're in, then you get double points and you get more points for longer books. So I wanted to swap this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm keeping this on the TBR for now and popping it into the Aphrodite box, which I had left blank because it is a beautiful cover, in my opinion. I love it. It's so pretty. But so I'm keeping the book but putting it in a different place again. So this one is going into Aphrodite, and then into Dionysus I am putting From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which was still on my TBR anyway. It's clearly got red and white on the cover, so it still works, but it's a chonker. It's 600 and something pages, so good for a few more points than the previous option. So this is swapping into the Dionysus spot and was previously in the Eos spot, which is first book in a series. So taking its place for Eos is The Tiger's Daughter by, oh, those books are going to fall over, by Kay Arsenault Rivera, which is a book that I wanted to read in May but haven't had a chance to get to. So I'm pleased to be able to put this onto my TBR for June. It is an Asian-inspired fantasy story about women taking back the power, and it's queer, so, and now the books did fall over. So wow. So those are the changes I made to this TBR post-filming. Chances are it will change again. It's fine. But back to previous Sophia. don't forget to check out Wonderful Books in the description bar. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.